got my approval for fees.
Okay, it's
A
just
consistent pints of Guinness in Dublin.
that was last year. We were there. Last year we were there.
Hopefully it'll be this year again. I know.
Mm, yeah.
Hopefully we'll get over in time to watch the Lions in a Dublin pub.
Yeah. Well, given that the Gardaí are now fining anybody who goes across the border, I think you're hiding to nothing there.
That's a long way away.
Okay, everything's just about.
Not pretty optimistic.
Okay, we're live on YouTube again, so off you go. Off you go.
Okay. Well, hello again, folks. That's us all had a wee break to do whatever we do in wee breaks to make ourselves enjoy ourselves. And we'll kick off the second half with a lad called Bill Gray. Now, Bill's battled his way here tonight all the way from Peterhead, so I think that's worthy of applause in itself. And it's been my pleasure to get to know Bill over the last few years. When I met him originally, I think it would have been the Boat Festival or one of the halls or whatever. But meeting on to Bill and, discovering that a very likeable guy. And I've done a few wee bits of shows with him here and there at some of the festivals. And just while we're at it, Bill's another past winner. Bill was actually the winner of the Salmon Bothy Ballads Championship, the Champion of Champions Cup in 2017, was it, Bill? He's nodding, that's good. Thank heavens I got that right. So that was, once again, gives it, no better choice could be made for somebody to give us a couple of Bothy ballads. So let's hear a big welcome, please, for Bill.
Hello, Abdi. It's delighted to be part of this great night, and of course we should have been in a great mood today after that fine result today. Well, I'm going to start off with a comical song. It's called the Hasha Benagok. It's got a fine chorus, so please join in the chorus. This is meer a cornkister than a Bothy ballad. O, saks man te meer te mes a fieten te red doen. The said there was a smertes children na the country round. We are ring dum day. Ring dum day, ring dum a diddle come a dandy o. All woolly feet my Robbie never spoke. The Collins of the second pair to Hasha Benagok. We are ring dum day, ring dum day, ring dum a diddle come a dandy o. Foreman is a constable, he never falls asleep. It's up and down the long rags, he never slacks at teeth. We are ring dum day, ring dum day, ring dum a diddle come a dandy o. The second belly, that's Marcella, a pair of broons. Randall's on the foreman's heels, a fairly keep maroons. We are ring dum day. Ring dum day, ring dum a diddle come a dandy o. The third he comes wi' Foggy Lawn and he's a pint of cheel. His horse and his harness a rye looking wheel. We a ring dum day, ring dum day, ring dum a diddle come a dandy o. We hear Colin Kitchy lass, her name is Betty Brown, with fake it tak a siddle garth and middle to ging roon. We a ring dum day, ring dum day, ring dum a diddle come a dandy o. Sharnit is a Bailey no, he's a pint of cheel. His horse and his harness a rye looking wheel. We a ring dum day, ring dum day, ring dum a diddle come a dandy o. Sign me heaven or a money out to sleep. His rune about the long race, he lies a heap. We a ring dum day, ring dum day, ring dum a diddle come a dandy o. Robbie has a sister and she's bejerking neat, and fair she keeps a bitchy belays on Cascantamate. We a ring dum day, ring dum day, ring dum a diddle come a dandy. Well, he rises in the morning and gives the door a crash, and out underneath his picket says, I think we'll hear a thrash. We are ring-dum-dee, ring-dum-dee, ring-dum-a-diddle, come-a-dandy. Then he has a brother, he's rang among the feet, to see him creeping round the close with Gara, but he greet. We are ring-dum-dee, ring-dum-dee, ring-dum-a-diddle, come-a-dandy. Come by, you jolly horseman, you'll gang to the plough, the orel at the cannon heaps of charney fallen poo. We are ring-dum-dee, ring-dum-dee, ring-dum-a-diddle, come-a-dandy. The author of the Scantulay you wanted to be known, you spear at the herring boats, appear a foggy lone. We are ring-dum-dee, ring-dum-dee, ring-dum-a-diddle, come-a-dandy. We are ring-dum-dee, ring-dum-dee, ring-dum-a-diddle, come-a-dandy.
Yay.
I'm going to sing a song now about Boggie's Bonnie Bell. This is a ballad I learned, well, for Joe Aiken as well, but the first version I ever heard was for Jock Duncan when I met Jock at the Stricken Festival. That would have been back in 2005. My God, where does the time go? So here's Boggie's Bonnie Bell. As I get in by Huntley Toon, a morning for to feed, I met in wee Bogie O'Kearney, and with him I did agree to work his twa best horses, as Harran, Kert and Plew, and the other thing about firm work, the best that I could do. Now Bogie has a daughter, her name is Isabel. She's the flower o' her nation, there's none her could excel. She had rosy cheeks and ruby lips, and hair o' darkest hue. She was neat, complete, and handsome, and comely for to view. A day when she get walking, she chose me for her guide, to take a pleasant walk with her down by Kearney side. I slipped my arms around her waist, and to the ground slide. It's there I tune my below her, by the burn on Bogie side. 20 weeks hae passed and gone, this lassie lost her bloom. The reed fell fae her bonny cheeks, and she began to swoon. Her 40 weeks hae passed and gone, and she brought forth a son. And I was quickly sent for to see what could be done. All Bogie heard the story, and cried, I am undone, since he beguiled my daughter, my sorrows have begun. I said, Alman, you're fairly recht, and I hung my head in shame. I said I'd marry Bell the morn, and give my name. Although I know that when I did, fitting much for Bill, nor Bill a much for me. He sent me packing down the road, winning a penny o' my fee. Farewell, ye lads o' Huntly side, a long farewell to thee. And she's married that tinker lad, whose name is Suitor John. He hawks his pans and ladles around me foggy lone. Now me she's gotten a better match, all bogey cannot tell, for it was me that had the first brawn necht, oh bogey's bonny bell. Bogey's bonny bell.
What's his name again? Thank you very much, Bill. That was lovely.
Couple of cracking songs.
Yeah, indeed.
You're unmuted.
Right, next we're having three people who have travelled through all sorts of terrible weather to get here. There's Tom, there's Maggie, and there's Emma. So to introduce them, we'll start with Tom, because he's the oldest. Tom joined Aberdeen Folk Club in the early 1960s and served his time there learning the Northeast folk tradition. He's honed his knowledge on all things trad. Maggie and Emma have brought him here tonight. I'm lost again. Yes, and they've stayed to keep him in check. Maggie hasn't been singing nearly as long as Tom.
Very few people have.
But she's very quickly established herself as a formidable contender by winning the major Buchan Heritage Competition at Strichen in 2008.
Hey.
Now I'm sure Emma's been winning all sorts of things all over the place, and we've just not heard about it yet. And all three of them have been great supporters of the Salmon Bothy.
Indeed.
So we'll pass you now over to the Spears family.
Big
Thank you.
welcome for the Spears.
Are you going to tell them what we're going to sing?
Yeah, going to do one. It's quite amusing when you start going through your list of songs how many of them were either written by Burns or collected by Burns at least. So this is one that he wrote, did he?
I think so, aye.
Anyway, it's Are the Water to Cheerly.
He'd have been better if he'd spoken the Doric, like then we'd have been able to understand him.
Come boat me o'er, come row me o'er, come boat me o'er, to Cheerly. I'll give John Ross another hobby, to die for Jelly. I eens had sons, but knew ain't been. I bred them toil and silly, but I would bear them up again and lose them all for Jelly. We'll o'er the water, we'll o'er the sea, we'll o'er the water to Jelly. Come we'll come home, we'll gather and go, and live or die for Jelly.
Go.
On the Spears family. Terrific. Okay, now we're going back across to Mr. Freer, who's going to give us a toast to the lassies. And heavens knows what we can expect here, but I'm sure it's going to be very amusing. So, a big welcome, please, for Titch Andy's toast to the lassies.
Thank you all. You must be getting sick of the sound of my voice by now. I've been speaking for far too long. I'm knocking on a bit for doing toasts to the lassies, to be honest with you. And it gets more risky as I get older, especially as Aileen Carr is replying tonight. As you know, she's got a fierce tongue on her when she's got a drink in her. So I have to be very careful what I say. As I say, I'm knocking on, you know, I'm not a young man anymore. I seem to have aged several years in the last 8 months just sitting in a house. It's a terrible thing. I'm getting to the point I couldn't hear properly. So I managed to get an appointment with a doctor, which was amazing in itself, I know. And I went along and got in, and he said, "What's the trouble, Titch?" I said, "Well, I'm having a bit of trouble with my hearing. I don't think I'm hearing properly." He said, "What are the symptoms?" I said, "Well, there's Homer and Marge, and there's their wee boy Bart and his sister Lisa." He said, "Titch, that's not the symptoms, that's the Simpsons." So, oh right, I see, so there's definitely something wrong with my hearing. I said, also I remember the Scottish guy. I've got, what do you call him, groundskeeper Willie. "Oh, it's okay," he says, "I can give you cream for that." So anyway, I thought we better crack on here. The toast to the lassies, as good as I can do it at my age. When Hogmanay is past and done, it's then that Scotsmen everyone and citizens the world wide will cast their worldly cares aside and put their minds with rhyme and reason to prepare for the haggis season. Manly boasters, ski-and-do grabbers, lassie toasters, haggis stabbers, Poosie Nancy's pipers skirling, tune-for chanters, dancers birling, tam o'shanters, holy willy, dressed for bed and looking silly, cheery chairmen just sublime, in tartan, band in Burns time, clad in kilts, pressed to a fault, reinforced by single malt, we buckle up in sporrans hairy, smelling like a distillery, or even worse, the fragrant pong of Nuit de Portsoy by Saint Laurent. I love a good Burns supper, me. I love a night upon a spree before it's time for cloots to cast, while January brings its bitter blast, and round your knees the wind is chilly. It's time to dust off Holy Willy. Things are kinda strange this year, 'cause you're out there and I'm in here. I wouldn't wish to get in trouble by venturing outside my bubble. I've got my 6 foot length of string, to practice social distancing. I do not wish to be a donor of this despicable corona, a harsh disease that makes ye stagger, just like that strong Mexican lager. A mask may help prevent the COVID. Needless to say, I couldn't think of a rhyme for COVID. Once more, it falls unto my lot that I should rise, while you should not. Catch my breath, clean my glasses. Once again, I'll toast the lasses. Is he too young, you may well ask, to be entrusted with this task? But though I might look 53, I'm 62 plus VAT, and though I live a quiet life here in Kinross with Doug and wife, there's things about me and my past would leave some of you quite aghast. I was a wild thing in my youth, and though I have regrets, forsooth, of broken hearts along the way, aye, mine as well, I have to say. That's why, at suppers more than most, I'm often asked to make this toast. But remember, lads, if you can choose, a reputation's hard to lose. I'll toast the lasses, though it's true I don't know any more than you. Who among us knows the rules? They won't tell us. We're just fools. Aristotle, Jung, or Freud, their thoughts on women, just avoid. Ah, gentle dames, it gars me great to think how mony counsels sweet, how mony lengthened sage advises, the husband for the wife despises. A friend of mine, a younger chap, had somehow missed the marriage trap until at last, aged 27, he finally thought himself in heaven. His single darkness, bathed in light, at last he thought he'd found Miss Right. For many years she'd been alone, for she was 27 stone. When making love, though all aglow, he sometimes suffered vertigo. One night while in the throes of passion, he murmured, "Darling, this is smashing. I love this missionary lark, but could we do it in the dark?" She said, "Why's that, my little plum?" He said, "The light bulb scorched my bum." That hackneyed, that's an old Danny Kyle joke, the hackneyed judge of human life, the preacher and the king, observes the man who gets a wife, he gets a noble thing. But how capricious are mankind, now loathing, now desirous. We married men, how oft we find the best of things will tire us. Please do not think I'm being hard. The last bit was penned by the bard, for Rab knew lassies to the letter, but he knew laddies even better. But no as much as women can. They'll talk for hours about their men, listing every single fault, their love o' guerdons, hibs and malt. Men are from Mars, women from Venus. I'm not even going to go there. I was early in the month of May, when on a bright spring Saturday, sorry, see my eyes are going as well, Wally Brun and Archie Weddell set out to play the monthly medal. They drove, they chipped, and then they putted. Some of the greens were sadly rutted. Nevertheless, without much grieving, they reached the 9th with honours even. At the 10th tee they did arrive, and Wally set himself to drive, when o'er the brae, in slow progression, he spied a funeral procession. He set his driver on the ground, and stood erect without a sound. The bonnet came frae aff his head, in fond respect unto the deed. Well, that was braw, his friend imparted, I take it that you knew the departed, says Willie, holding back the tears. She was a good wife to me for 40 years. All heaven knows we have our thoughts, especially after several mots. When cutty sarks run in our mind and self-control is left behind, the mature man, when left alone, gets rushes of testosterone, and full of vim and raw of tooth, he acts as if he were a youth. Unwary lasses he would clutch. That's why women don't drink much. Well, no, in this company. To fend off his lascivious advance. If pished, they would not stand a chance. The next day dawns, as next day will, to find our hero very ill. Racking his brain to find excuses for the extent of his abuses. Oh, darling, I was mugged last night when I was planted uncorrect. Of course, he says, and there's nae doot, they also spewed down your good suit. The moral rights she has the upper hand until next year's burned supper. But then again, there's great temptations. Encourage women's ministrations. Nae finer thing will keep you busy than being at hame with your wee hizzy. Alone together, feeling vanty, with 2 or 3 bottles o' Chianti. That's the time when love will blossom, and love, as Burns has said, is awesome. Despite the world and all its changes, love can still move mountain ranges. Now, while this tale of truth shall read, when I sat down 'twas to concede that Robert Burns, whom nane surpasses, did dearly loo the bonny lassies. No matter where the story goes, my love is like a red, red rose. O were I on Parnassus hill, Clorinda, mistress o' my soul, o' all the airts the wind can blaw, or a fond kiss upon them all. Sinatra swung to please our mothers, but Burns wrote songs for serious lovers. To get your lass beneath the duvet, the words o' Rab will make her groovy. Now, lassies, have I kept you waiting? Do you know, we find you fascinating. These laddies, heterosexual men, except of course the 1 in 10 who maybe swing the other way, just find you take our breath away. Your beauty is beyond compare. Your ruby lips, your lustrous hair, just have us champing at our bits. I couldn't think of a rhyme for that either. The lads just think that as a race, abin them all you take your place. But I have to say, in points residually, you're bloody hard work individually. It is usually at this point that one is to sing this particular song. There's naught but care on every hand, on every wave that passes, oh, it signifies the life of man, and where na farther lasses, oh, green grow the rashes, oh, green grow the rashes, oh, the sweetest years that e'er I spent were spent among the lasses, oh. The worldly race may riches chase, and riches still may fly them all, and though at last they catch them fast, their hearts will ne'er enjoy them, oh. Green grow the rashes, oh, Green grow the rashes, oh, the sweetest stirs the time I spent among the lassies, oh. Gie me a canty uratin, my arms up put my dearie, oh, and warly cares and warly men may all gang topsail teary, oh. Green grow the rashes, oh, green grow the rashes, oh, the sweetest stirs the time I spent were spent among the lassies, oh. Ah, for you seduce, you sneer at us, you're nocht but senseless asses, oh. The wisest man the world saw, he dearly loved the lasses, oh. Green grow the rashes, oh, green grow the rashes, oh, the sweetest stirs the time I spent were spent among the lasses, oh. Old nature swears the lovely dears her noblest work she classes, oh. Her prentice hand she tried on man, then she made the lassies, oh. Green grow the rashes, oh, green grow the rashes, oh, the sweetest stirs the time I spent were spent among the lassies, oh. Gentlemen, the lassies.
The lassies.
Lassies.
The lassie.
The losses.
Yes, that was nice. The lassies again. Right, it's terrific stuff, mate.
Thank you, Ron.
Particularly glad that when you got to these bits that you couldn't think anything to rhyme, I'm awful glad you just gave in. And I think what your options might have been. Very well done. Now, we're delighted tonight to have Aileen Carr with us, who's going to make the response on behalf of the lassies. Aileen has battered through from her home, which is in Carsof Gowrie, of course in Perthshire. And Aileen's got an immense knowledge of all things folk. She was grew up starting out from a very young age in a musical family, which gave her a good grounding in learning all about how to present folk music and what have you. And she certainly has the gift of being able to make a good song sound great. So that's all apart from what she's going to do first tonight. She's going to do this reply. She's been at several Bothy and Burns and Bothy nights at the Salmon Bothy in the past, but she's never done a reply to the Toast for the Lassies. I don't think she's done it anywhere, have you, Aileen? This is the first time you've done a reply. Oh, she's done it once before. So there you are. This is her second time, and I'm sure it's going to be a good one. So if you just please give a nice big welcome to Aileen to give her reply from the Lassies.
Thank you for that wonderful introduction. Good evening, everybody, and can I just say how honoured I am to be with you this evening to reply to the Toast to the Lasses. I thought I might start by quoting a few lines from Lindy Cheen's wonderful parody of A Man's a Man, A Quine's a Quine. Is there a man would dare to say, through fire and wind and all that quines are made just for their play, as lugs would diddle for all that. For all that and all that, our glaikit wise and all that, our flecht and tongue and vengeful ee, a quine's a quine for all that. Well, it's customary to begin by thanking the person who proposed the toast, so I would like to thank Titch, at least I think I would like to thank him, for his thought-provoking speech and for speaking so eloquently and so poetically, and for proving that all said and done, men do indisputably, if grudgingly, need the lasses. And of course, we ladies, as their wives, mothers, sisters, friends and lovers, are always there to support them, graciously giving them all the help and encouragement they could possibly want or need, even although they don't always request it and certainly don't always listen to it. But being the loving, caring and supportive sex that we are, we give it to them anyway. However, keeping the man or the men in your life right isn't all that simple. And in fact, it can be quite trying. For example, what about the wife whose husband kept saying he would get the lawnmower repaired, but then kept making excuses for not getting it repaired? She thought finally that she'd come up with a really clever way to give him a heavy hint. And he came home one day to find his wife kneeling in the long grass in the garden, cutting it with a small pair of sewing scissors. He stood for a minute watching, then disappeared into the house. He reappeared again shortly afterwards with a toothbrush in his hand, saying, "Maybe when you've finished cutting the grass, you'd like to sweep the drive." Doctors say he'll walk again, but he will have a limp. Then there's the story of the family gathered together in the waiting room of an Aberdeen hospital where a family member was gravely ill. When the doctor came in, he told them, "I'm afraid the only help for you is a brain transplant, and you'll have to pay for the brain yourself." After a pause, somebody asked the inevitable question, "How much does a brain cost?" "Well," said the doctor, "it's £32,500 for a male brain, and it's £13,000 for a female brain." There was silence for a minute or two while the men tried to avoid the gaze of the women and tried not to snigger. "So why's that?" blurted out one man. "Oh, it's just standard procedure," said the doctor. "We have to mark down the price of the female brains because they've been used." Then I heard another story the other day about a group of adults on a computer science course at a local college. And after a few weeks, the lecturer said that he had a learning project that he wanted them to do. So he divided the class into two groups, the men in one group and the women in the other. And he gave them 10 minutes to determine what gender they thought computers ought to be. And so each group deliberated. When it came to the men, they had voted unanimously that computers should be referred to in the feminine gender. "Okay," said the lecturer, "share your reasons." They had 4 points. The first one was that no one but their creator could understand their internal logic. The second was, when computers communicate with each other, they speak in code language that only they and the experts can understand. Thirdly was that every mistake you make is stored in their hard drive for later retrieval. And the fourth reason was that as soon as you commit yourself to one, you find yourself spending half your income on accessorizing it. But the women had the last word on the subject. They voted unanimously that computers should be in the masculine gender. When the lecturer asked why, they said, well, first of all, in order to get their attention, you have to turn them on. Secondly, they have a lot of data, but they still can't think for themselves. Thirdly, they're supposed to help you solve problems, but half the time they are the problem. And the final reason was because as soon as you commit to one, you realize that only if you had only waited a little longer, you could have got a better model. Now, I know often the reply to the Toast to the Lasses is an opportunity to point out men's foibles and idiosyncrasies, but I think I should take a more positive approach this evening. So I want to take a look at men's, get that right. I want to take a look at men's understanding of women and how they might improve their relationship with women. And I'm hoping that by the end of my speech, gentlemen, not only will you be clear about what we women are looking for in a man, but you'll actually have an action plan. So let's start by talking about sex and foreplay. That's sex in the context of being flirtatious, and foreplay isn't F-O-U-R in the sense of four people being involved, but F-O-R-E in before. Now, when you're in your teens and in the heady early days of youthful romance, maybe foreplay doesn't seem to matter so much. However, it does. And what inevitably happens is that women get married optimistically thinking that the man in their life will change, and then they don't. And men get married thinking that the woman in their life won't change, and they do. So you see, what's fine at 19 isn't the same as what women actually want. And really, it's important that you get that. Now, I know that men have the capacity to develop the skills necessary to be good at foreplay. And if they don't, they're in danger of being replaced by a bar of chocolate, which, as you know, is a sweet, tempting treat that goes straight for your bum and thighs. A bit like a man, but generally more satisfying. But what women really want from men is for men to be romantic, to make us women feel desired, not just physically, but also intellectually, and to have respect and appreciations. Now, Burns 200 years ago didn't seem to need any help, and I'm sure that the attributes that made him attractive to women then would still make him attractive to women today. He had patter, he was articulate, he was a bit of a cheeky chappy, flirtatious, physically attractive and sexy, a man who genuinely liked women. Well, a lot of women actually. He was considered a great admirer and supporter of women, and given the number of children he had, he needed to give quite a lot of support. But most significantly, he was a man who could express his feelings without seeing it as a threat to his masculinity. So, to help you men understand what we women mean when we say we want more from a relationship, rather than suggest the intervention of a sex therapist because, well, we are in lockdown, I thought it might be helpful to keep it simple and give you a 4-point plan. Stage 1, love and admiration. We women want love and admiration, and what might that look like? Well, you could give compliments, be affectionate. A cuddle now and again goes a long way. Surprise her with flowers that she hasn't had to order for herself from the florist, like my mother used to do. Arrange a romantic dinner for two occasionally, or maybe write a card with a romantic verse in, and not just for her birthday, or say I love you sometimes without having to be prompted. But importantly, listen to what she says and show that you respect her thoughts and opinions. Now, if there's enough love and admiration, you'll find that that leads on to stage 2, desire. And if it doesn't work sufficiently, then it's back to stage 1 and try again. More love and admiration required. If, however, you do manage to stimulate a degree of desire, you move on to stage 3. And stage 3 is about using your knowledge. Now, to be a good lover, you need to expand your knowledge, not through blue movies or lap dancing clubs, but by paying particular attention to your partner and what she wants. Then, having increased your knowledge, you're ready to move on to stage 4, application of knowledge, which is about translating your newfound skills into abilities and action. Now, you might find you need a lot of practice at this stage, but then you can repeat the cycle all over again, starting at stage 1, not forgetting stages 2 and 3. Do not go straight to stage 4. No need ever to be confused again. So, gentlemen, all we want is to feel loved and cherished and admired. And we want to know that you would be heartbroken without us. And this is where Burns has made it really easy for you. How about this for love and admiration? Oh, my love is like a red, red rose that's newly sprung in June. Oh, my love is like the melody that's sweetly played in tune. And this for cherished. I see her in the dewy flowers. I see her fresh and fair. I hear her in the tuneful birds. I hear her charm the air. We're not asking for originality. Feel free to reference Burns, the master of writing beautiful love songs. And if I may, I would just like to conclude with a few more lines from Lindy. And though he dees his wife who sair with sexist shite and all that, his bristle roch and ravelled hair, a man's a man for all that. But let us pray the price we pay for loving men and all that will geese equality some day. It's coming yet for all that. For all that and all that, their winter wet and all that, will o'er the earth extol their worth. A man's the gowd for all that. So ladies, please join me in a toast to the laddies. The laddies.
Laddies.
The laddies.
Well, thank you very much for that, Aileen. I think he was listening to you.
Indeed so.
If he wasn't, I'll let you know.
All right.
Was
I think I do very well, actually, listening to all these points. I think I comply quite nicely.
See, that's a problem. Sometimes I think. Anyway, we can't do a lot about that. So thank you, Aileen. Very enlightening. Coming up next, we've got John Dixon, wherever he is. I can't see him. To give us a nice bothy ballad. What it'll be about, I don't know. It could be about all sorts of things. So we'll pass you over.
Now, just before we go over to John, I'm flicking this along to see. There's several people here that maybe would like to give us a song. I don't know. Jim and Kate, are either of you or both of you interested in doing a song? You interested? Just thumbs up or yay or nay. Okay, that's fine. We'll maybe get you to do something after Aileen's done her song. Okay? That's great. Spot on, thank you. And I'm going to flick back again. I'm sorry to have to do this. Oh, Dougie's done a bunk. Okay, I can't ask him. Okay, John, it's all down to you now. So, big welcome, folks, for John Dixon, the Bothy Ballad man.
Thanks, thank you. I'll do a Bothy ballad. This Bothy ballad, 10 years ago, the day in fact, at Elgin, I won the Bothy Ballad Championship. This Bothy Ballad won. I was quite chuffed. My first time at Elgin, and I won with this song. A song written by Bill Buchan, but it's a Bothy Ballad style, and it's called Bunny Brazo Canary. And I'll start. Come along, my Jean, where you been? Come see your blue boy laddie. You'll no belong and I'll sing you a song. The bonny braes o' Canady, bonny braes o' Canady. She's a bonny quine and a way long mind. The first time that I saw her, she's a kitschy dame and all in. So came with fame a chummer. Says I to the lass as she tried to pass, fit like this bonny even. She said, I'm fine if you didn't mind. High time I was moving. Come about my Jean, where you been? Come see your blue boy laddie. You'll no belong and I'll sing you a song. Bonny braes o' Canady, bonny braes o' Canady. Oh, summer long, well, my head was wrong. I chased her like a doggy. Well, wink and a smile she did beguile this gaping blue boy rogie. Oh, I loved her through and I ca'd her my do. We used to go no wooing. She'd cut my lug, give my nose a rug. I chase her round the cooing. Come along, my Jean, where you been? Come see your blue boy laddie. You'll no belong and I'll sing you a song. The bonny braes o' Canady, bonny braes o' Canady. Oh, summer long, well, my head was wrong. I chased her like a doggy. Well, wink and a smile she did beguile this gaping blue boy rogie. Oh, I loved her through and I ca'd her my do. We used to go no wooing. She'd cut my lug, give my nose a rug. I chased her round the cooing. Come about, my Jean, where you been? Come see your blue boy laddie. You'll no belong and I'll sing you a song. Bonny braes o' Canady, bonny braes o' Canady. Oh, the summer scene was all but done. I feared I'd have to leave her, for the man in me couldn't agree a fee. My term I had to save her. As I crossed the yard, when I heard my turtle do a blaring. You'll wait on me, 'cause I'm going to next June we'll hear the bearing. Come along, my Jean, where you been? Come see your blue boy laddie. You'll no belong and I'll sing you a song. The bonny braes o' Canady, the bonny braes o' Canady. Well, now I'm old and my feet gone cold. I still look back with pleasure to Canady braes in my younger days, for I met my Jean, my treasure. Through thick and thin, we've ice stuck in, a few bad words were spoken. Though a doubt is all that's never called when I come home frae the yoken. Come along, my Jean, where you been? Come see your blue boy laddie. You'll no belong and I'll sing you a song. The bonny braes o' Canady, bonny braes o' Canady.
Spot on. Well done, John.
The clever ones among you'll notice I sang the second verse twice.
That's all right. Right. Excellent stuff, John. And now we're going to go back. Aileen gave us a wonderful reply back from the lasses. Now she's going to give us a song of her choice, but I believe it is a Burns song. And let's hear a nice welcome for Aileen.
Thank you. Burns grew up listening to the stories of his father's, how his father's family's fortunes suffered after the failure of the 1715 and the 1745 Jacobite rebellions. He never hid his Jacobite sympathies, but he put them to good use to write a lot of good Jacobite songs. And this is one of them. It's called By Yon Castle Wall. And I think the Jamie mentioned in the song is probably the Old Pretender. By Yon Castle Wall. By yon castle wall at the close of the day, I heard a man sing, though his head it was grey, and as he was singing, the tears did came, there'll never be peace till Jamie comes home. The kirk is in ruin and the state is in jar. Delusions, oppression, and murderous war. We darna we'll sit, but we ken was tae blame. There'll never be peace till Jamie comes home. My 7 braw sons for Jamie drew sword, and now they lie in their green beds in the yard. It brak the sweet heart o' my comely old dame. There'll never be peace till Jamie comes home. Now life is a burden that bears me down, since I tend my bairns and he tend his crown. But till my last moments, my words are the same. There'll never be peace till Jamie comes home.
Lovely, thanks Aileen. That's what I was talking about earlier, how you make a good song sound great. That's just a wee example of it. Now we're going to have a song from a couple of people that I just saw. It'll be one or whatever. But I notice, Dougie Mackenzie, are you interested in giving us a song at all? Just thumb up if you're interested, Dougie. Or you can give me some other sign if you don't. Okay, spot on. So I'll get Jim and Kate, or Jim and Kate, whatever, to do something, then we'll have you a song from you, Dougie. Okay? Spot on. Now, Jim and Kate, you can give us the benefit of what you want to do. This, obviously, folks, is not an organised part of the programme tonight. It's just Jim and Kate have kindly offered to give us a song. And they're good supporters of the Salmon Bothy and such things. So let's hear a nice welcome for Jim and Kate.
Thank you, Ron. Thank you. It's been a grand night so far. Let's hope it doesn't go downhill now. I didn't sing buttons, so I'll do a Bothy ballad, a fairly local one written by Jimmy Wright, who was brought up and went to school at Midmar, just 6 miles from where I still live. I was born and brought up just outside Garlogie. So it's Bandy's Row. Oh, Bandy, he was roping out his fairman days were me. I thought I was getting opposition there. Okay, we'll start again.
You start again, Jim.
Aye. Oh, Bandy, he was roping out his fairman days were done. He'd bought a wee bit hussy in the town away Aberdeen. Now all his stock and implements were hanging up for sale. He'd even sell the moose trap and the old slop pail. The foreman and the second lad were put to wash the carts, to paint them up a green and red and dial up a the parts. The halfling painted a the blues, the harrows and the grubber. The bailey he read up the note, we dandy came and scrubber. So on the morning o' the rope a thing was spick and span. We had a barrel full of beer, with plenty beef and ham. For nobody had come to buy, but just to hear their fell. All bandy kent the drill full wheel, he'd in the same himself. So van the rope got started and the crowd had gathered round. The young engineer cried out for beds, you couldn't hear a sound. He thought he'd get them in the mood and cries, look here now, Dixon, there's horse, you'll do the work o' twa and help out in the kitchen. The farmer for the mellow line, he'd come to buy a stot. When he saw Bandy's bell gone by, he set off at the trot. She said, look here, my little man, I'd like to know your game. Says he, no bell, you brawly ken, my game it's aye the same. Well, nae matter for his game was, but it seemed Bell liked it fine. For now she is the farmer's wife, do not the mellow line. But sometimes yet he winners, and he fails, thinks to himself, he should have stuck to buying stots and nae chased Bandy's bell. Of course the women folk were there to hae a wee bit splash. Afore the afternoon was by, they'd buy up a' the trash. The servant quine for pitness, she was keen on doing some bidding. She got on the dyke to get mere hashed, but fell back into the midden. Now the doctor fair enjoyed himself, he drank some muckle beer. His wife made up a lame excuse, she couldn't stand the steer. He waved his hand to let her ken, he'd be wi' her I knew. But afore he kent he'd gien and bocht, all Bandy's breeding Sue. No, but when the rope had finished and the last Jill left the scene, all Bandy he'd a last look round, a tear come to his een. Syne down the brae he won it, for he played fan just alone. But I'm sure his heart was heavy as he set off to the town.
There we go. Thanks, Jim. Now, I'm going to, just before we get you, Titch, I see you're all sitting there all primed up, but we're going to have just a song from Dougie McKenzie, who's sitting there. I don't know what Dougie will be going to do. I can't see him on this setup. You just see who's talking kind of thing. But let's hear a welcome, please, for Dougie.
Evening all. This is a Burns song. May well have been one that he collected rather than wrote himself, because Burns was, as you all know, a great collector of songs as well as a writer of songs. And it's a song called Rattlin' Roaring Willie. Oh, rattlin', roaring Willie, all he out to the fair, oh, for to sell his fiddle and buy some other wares. But partin' wi' your fiddle is for to lend his een, rattlin', roaring Willie, and welcome him to me. Oh, Willie, come sell your fiddle, or sell your fiddle so fine. Willie, come sell your fiddle and buy a pint of wine. If I should sell my fiddle, the world would think I was mad. Oh, rattle and roar and Willie, I'd welcome him to me. as I come by Crachal na Cadley Kecked Ben, Rattling Road, and Willie was sitting at John Borden, among good company. Rattling Road, and Willie, and welcome him to me. Oh, Willie, come sell your fiddle, or sell your fiddle so fine. Willie, come sell your fiddle, and buy a pint of wine. If I should sell me fiddle, the water would think I was mad. Oh, Rattling Road, and Willie, you're welcome him to me. Oh, Rattling Road, and Willie, oh, he'll take the fair for to sell his fiddle and buy some other wares. But parting we his fiddle, a sort of blunt as he. Rattling Road, and Willie, you're welcome him to me. Rattling Road and Willie.
Right, thanks, Dougie. Now we're going back over to Titch, who's going to lead us in Auld Lang Syne. I mixed myself up there because we had 3 versions of it, and I don't know if I can remember what one he's meant to be going to do. So we'll maybe have a wee bit of it. I always think it might be good to mix them all up, but we'll just let Titch decide. So once again, a welcome for Titch for Auld Lang Syne.
Okay, so we had we took a democratic vote before we came on air this evening, and decided that version 2 would be the one that we would finish off with. Otherwise, we will be here all night. It's the shortened version with just the first and last verses, and the choruses in between, obviously. We will do it in the Scottish style. Pleased to see everybody sitting, so that stops any stupidity towards the end. I've had to, see some trouble you get when people are standing up on a dance floor. It's awful. They're running in and running out and link hands with everybody in the entire room, up to our ears in Auld Lang Synes. Drives me daft, you know. They're running in and out like this at the end of the thing. It's just more like the hokey cokey than Auld Lang Syne. But nevertheless, I can and trust you very well that we'll do it the right way. Now you can all join in with this anytime you like. Whether it actually fits together, I've no idea. But not to worry. Should all acquaintance be forgot, and never brought to mind? Should all acquaintance be forgot, and Auld Lang Syne? For Auld Lang Syne, my Joe, for Auld Lang Syne, we'll take a cup o' kindness yet, for Auld Lang Syne. And here's a on my trusty fear, and gaze a on thine. We'll take a recht wally wacht, for Auld Lang Syne. For Auld Lang Syne, my Joe, for Auld Lang Syne, we'll take a cup o' kindness yet, for Auld Lang Syne. One more all together. For Auld Lang Syne, my Joe, for Auld Lang Syne, we'll take a cup o' kindness yet, for Auld Lang Syne. Thank you, everybody. time. God bless.
Great stuff, Titch. Cheers.
Thanks, brilliant night.
Cheers to you.
Yeah.
Now,
Well done.
that's us reached, I'm afraid, the end of the proceedings. But I would like to thank everybody before we go that performed tonight. I'm not going to go through all the names, but everybody that gave us a song or a tune or anything else, special thanks. And of course, I'd like to thank Dick Elliott and Graham Legg for all their technical input and getting the noises through to you. It's hard work. I mean, they've been at it all night and they do a grand job. So here's to Dick and Graham and everybody at the Salmon Bothy. You know, the Salmon Bothy was what got me involved with most of you people here. And it's amazing just how many folk have met up there. And special thanks, of course, go to Bob Phillips, who organises a lot of it and tells folks to do all the work. So, and I think that's all the thanks, and I apologise profusely if I've missed anybody out on the vote of thanks. But that, folks, is it. Thanks very much. I've thoroughly enjoyed it, and I hope you have, and I think Anne did.
Yes, I did. Uh-huh.
Yes, so there you are. We did. Thanks, everyone, for participating, and hopefully we can all get together again soon. Thank you, and good night.
Right.
Good night, and I hope it's not too long till we're all at Portsoy again.